This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio. SoCal Sports Talk. Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
Hey, everybody. Kaplan and Crew just getting onto the airwaves from the 7 Mile Casino Studios. And you know what today is? It's Friday. Ooh, it's Friday. Shout out to the original Big Ol' Rascal, Billy Ray. What's up, you big old sucker? It's Friday. And always homage to number Fitted Foe. Browner's in the house. Lawhead is here today for Grande. Grande's up in the Nard. His sister's getting married. Much love to the Grande familia. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Good Friday. What's cooking? What's going on, Brown?
What up, man? What up? Big comeback yesterday. I don't know if I want to call it a comeback, but I don't know if any of y'all saw it, but we did the play-by-play. Big comeback. And then last night, a big flattening. So I had a good sports night. I mean, bacon this morning, you know, everything is rolling in the right direction for me. I'm free.
Wait a second. Hold on. You said one big comeback yesterday. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Is that the Padres bats coming alive?
Yeah. Wake them things up.
All right. Then last night, remember everybody, Browner said Nuggets in 4, which is kind of funny because it was the Suns in 4 guy that beat up the Nuggets guys. So now it's Nuggets in 4, right? And last night certainly didn't look like Miami has any answers for Denver in game 1. So you're talking about that. And then did you say you were baking earlier today?
No, I said I had some bacon.
Oh, you had bacon today. Oh, dog. I thought you said you were doing some bacon earlier today. And I was like, my man's making cupcakes all up in this mofo.
Well, I can make a cupcake. I can make a cupcake, cookies, actual regular cake. You know, I do a couple of.
Oh, yeah? You can bake?
I got a little bacon thing. Yeah, with the sleeve. Yeah, man. Listen, I got to tell y'all something about independent men out here, ladies. I can cook. I don't need you. You know? You feel me? I cook my own
do
meals,
they feel
girl.
you? Do they feel you?
Girl,
maybe I'm missing something, but in this day
shout
and
out
age,
to all these independent men out here, man. Fellas, make sure y'all cook, bruh. Outcook her. Because once you take cooking off the list, what can she do for you?
Oh, give me a break, man. In this day and age, ain't no ladies doing no cooking for no man. Come on, ladies ain't out there cooking for no man. This ain't 1968. Beaver ain't coming home from school.
Listen, bruh.
Dog, trust me.
Air
man.
fryers, and fellas, air fryers, microwaves don't count, man. Just so we clear.
So you can bake. J Law, you are a chef.
He's a chef.
I know. I mean, besides being a renowned stand-up comedian, an up-and-coming future NBA basketball referee.
Stay off Twitter, though. Stay off Twitter. Stay off Twitter if you're going to get that job, dog.
You are also a chef. You seem impressed that Browner says he'd be doing some bacon. But when he said he'd be doing some bacon, I thought he meant he was making cupcakes. My brother's talking about eating bacon.
Yeah, but he also said he can bake.
Yeah.
I'm not a baker. I'm a cook. I love to cook, but bread, I do make my own bread. I do. So that's about the only thing I bake. But I'm not a baker, man. Never have been. Never been a dessert guy. Because you have to be so exact in baking.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Really?
One thing about baking is you have to be really exact. The only thing that you can kind of play with baking outside of like the actual metrics of the recipe is like bread and dough, because depending on what kind of oven you're using, electric, convection, gas, stove, all kinds of different things, then your water, flour, yeast count can be a little different depending on temperatures in the room, yada, yada, yada.
Browner, you know what this is starting to sound like? This is starting to sound like beep bop for baking. I'm a baking nerd.
Whereas like cooking, you get to, a little dash of this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to pull a little of this out and put a little of this in when it comes to just more. So I like that kind of just more of the creativity of that. My wife, obviously, we've talked about this before. She actually has a culinary degree, even though she moved on from that and went on to get her esthetician's license. But my wife can bake.
Really?
Now,
So
my wife, she can do it all.
It's so funny you're saying this because my daughter is a baker, and she now has a job at an ice cream shop.
Cool.
And part of the job at the ice cream shop is they make their own cookies.
Nice.
So she'd be baking
Waffle
these cookies.
cone.
Waffle. Oh, she'd be baking up them waffle cones, dog. Yeah. I don't know if
Nice.
she's
That's
doing
great
that.
experience for her at her age. And,
I love that.
baking is something that, you can carry on. It can be, something you share with people. That's why I love cooking and my wife loves to bake. So it's things you can share. It's the process of it, the prepping of it.
Do you realize though, but do you realize all of this is because Browner said he had some bacon all up in here and I thought he meant he was baking and he said bacon, but he meant bacon, not bacon. You feel me?
Listen. You can the words in the English language is how you project them. That's how people tell what I was eating bacon or I was baking.
Yeah, you said I was baking.
They spelt different. They mean different things.
Right, but they sounded the same.
So bacon and bacon. That's just the way that I speak. Now you might run into a fella like yourself who pronounce all the letters. So therefore, you will say baking.
And I would then know what, yes, right. And then I would know what you meant.
Right. Me, bacon.
Right.
What you eating? Bacon. What you doing? Bacon.
See, Jay, right here. That right there, that is a new Browner bit. Like sometimes the way I say things.
Now, Jason. He does.
Jay, as his manager, okay? This is now a bit. You ready? Here's the bit on stage. So I got a lot of white friends. Sometimes they don't understand the language that I speak. Like my one friend Scott called me the other day, said, "Hey man, what you up to?" I said, "Yo man, I'm baking." He's like, "Oh really? What do you got going on? Like cupcakes, cookies?" I'm like, "No, dog, I'm eating bacon." So Jay, we got to cultivate that.
It could almost be a who's on first bit. Bacon. No. Why would you have bacon when you're baking?
See this, Browner? We're brainstorming. Okay.
I think it's a terrible idea, but whatever. Go on.
Oh, you don't like this idea?
I'm just having fun with you, man.
You don't like bacon versus baking. All right. Well, look, it's Friday afternoon. We're just getting rolling here today. I will say, guys, that last night, remember we were having this conversation yesterday that I was saying to you that going into the NBA Finals, what I call my Intuit meter. How into it am I? So, Browner, you said you were 100% into the NBA Finals, right?
Yes, sir.
Jay, game one last night, what percentage were you at going in?
I said high 90s, and if it gets to 2-2, I'll be 125% in.
Yeah, I went into the NBA Finals last night at about a 72% overall, right? And I was telling the story that this Sunday, my girlfriend said to me, "Hey, I'd like to take my mom and dad out to dinner for my mom's birthday, but I want to do it when there's not a game on because I don't want you sitting at the table watching the game. I want you to be present." I said, "Okay." I said, "Look, I'll do it Sunday evening." She said, "But there's an NBA Finals game," which, by the way, I think it's so cool that she knows that. And so I said, "Yeah, but I'm not that into it. I'm like a 72. So if you take me to dinner with your parents, I'm happy to do that. I love your folks. And then I'll watch the game later. I'll watch the game the next morning. It's no big deal for me, right?" So last night, I got done and I went to go meet her and she wanted to have dinner. And where we had dinner, there's no TV.
Where'd you have dinner?
I
don't know. Some place in Carmel Valley. Okay. I don't know. There's no TV. And I'm looking around because we're sitting at this bar, like, and have dinner at this bar. And I'm looking around going, God darn it, man. Somebody in this place got to have a TV. Like because it's one of those places that has multiple restaurants, Like we used to call them food courts when there was a Sbarro's and a Chick-fil-A and an Orange Julius, you know what I'm saying? And an Annie's cookie pretzels and the Mama Whoever cookies. That was a food court in a mall. Now food courts have exploded to where it's like one giant food court of high-end restaurants. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's a great one over. Have you been to over by Jimbo's in the
That's
Del
it.
Mar Highlands?
That's the place.
Is
Sky
that the
Deck.
place you were at over there?
Sky Deck, yeah.
Sky Deck. That is cool. I will say that place is. I love that place.
Yeah, I mean it is great. She always picks the same place, and it's the most expensive place.
Which one? Do you remember the name?
I don't know. It's like this place from North Park, Browner. They're actually originally from North Park. They have these monster burgers, and they've got this monster burger truck. And then they have all these drink. Anyway, dude, last night I actually behaved myself. Had a salad, had a salmon over the top of it. There was no game on though. Couldn't get the game. And even at a 72, fellas, I couldn't help myself. I had to turn the game on my phone.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why. You know why?
What's he say?
And I even said this, even if it becomes a sweep, even if it becomes what we saw for 3 quarters last night for the entirety of the series, it will be Jokic. He makes this the most watchable sweep ever. Like he's so fun to watch. He's such almost the perfect basketball player at this point that even if it was a 25-point blowout 4 games in a row, I'll be glued to every minute. Because I love watching him play, and then how Denver plays. So I get it. Like even if I want to watch every minute of this game, whether it's a blowout or it goes 7.
Yeah. So Brown, there I am. I'm sitting at the bar, and I've got like a glass at the bar. You know, I was drinking a soda water. I tried to commit myself, and I did. I said I'm not drinking until Friday because last week, like, you know, through a holiday weekend, I mean, that's all we did was drink our way through our town. I mean, it's seriously, it's all we did. You know, we exercised in the morning and we went drinking in the afternoon. So I'm like, I'm not drinking again until Friday. So there I am. I'm sitting at this bar with my girlfriend last night. I've got a soda water glass, you know, and I've got I got a glass like this right here. And I have my phone propped up on the bar. I'm that guy. I am that guy that people look at in a restaurant or a bar, and they see me sitting with an attractive lady, and the guys are like, "Yo, man, what's the score?"
Yep.
And the girls are like, "Look at him! Oh my God, he's the 2 of them are together, and he's watching the game." And I just can't help it because I'm kind of with you, Jay. You know, watching Denver play. And I don't know if Miami will have any answer over the next 3 games.
They don't.
I don't think they do. I mean, because I don't think they have anybody like
Anthony
Davis.
Early and often. I think that's the only thing that came out of last night is start Highsmith over Strus, zone them early and often just to kind of not let them go into that man-to-man. And I think that was the only success they had was later. They went to the zone. They disrupted some things, you know, make some guys shoot that. But that's it. I mean, and that's just a roll of the dice at this point.
When they went to the zone.
But Browner, I got to give you all the credit. You said yesterday, the thing that you don't want to let Jokic do is be a distributor. You don't mind giving up points to Jokic.
Correct.
I literally said the line yesterday. I said, I'll give him 46 and 4 assists. Don't give him 29 and 14 assists. Last night he had 27 and 14 assists.
Wait a second. You said that?
I said, last night, yesterday on the show, I said, I'd rather have him get 46 and 4 assists than 29 and 14 assists. And last night he went out and got 27 and 14 assists.
All right, Browner, I was about to give you all this credit for being so brilliant, but I now have to give it to Jason Lawhead. Jay Law, I was watching this game. I was watching this game, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, the guys were saying, and I yield to your basketball expertise. The guys were saying, they're like, dude, don't let Jokic be the distributor because that's how Denver will kill you by getting all these other guys involved. And Brown, that's kind of what it looked like.
He didn't take a shot until he stole the ball, passed it to Eric Gordon, and Eric Gordon passed it back to him. Like that was his first shot. And this was like almost at the end of the first quarter.
He had 7 assists before he took a shot. 5 of them were to Gordon.
Here's the problem with what, and I didn't listen. I didn't have
the first 4 field goals Gordon had. That's right.
I didn't have Aaron Gordon turning into Charles Barkley on my bingo card. I didn't even see that happening. Aaron Gordon literally obliterated them, just because they were prepared for Jokic. They had a plan for Jokic. They were prepared for Murray. They had a plan for Murray. And then they just went, hey, y'all okay? Who's guarding Aaron Gordon? Strus, dunk. Cody Martin, dunk. Like, it didn't matter. They are outsized at every position. And then at every position, Denver's better. They're just better. Like, Jimmy Butler got outplayed last night by Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
You can't say
points.
that.
13 points last night.
I said this yesterday before the game, and they didn't really have a plan for Jokic. I mean, their plan was do what everybody else has done and get burned, which is double team him and go into the man-to-man. When they were so successful throughout the playoffs, throwing that zone out and throwing it out early, because this isn't the only series they've been in mismatches. This is obviously the most obvious mismatch.
Obviously, this is the most obvious mismatch. Is that what you're saying? Just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, I double conundrum that one, whatever it is. But the thing is I said it yesterday. Don't double either of them. Put Butler on.
Well, that's a good dramatic pause.
That is really funny. I mean, I'm just literally like writing down his notes so that I don't give you credit for the smart things he says. And in the middle of it all, he freezes. Now, wait, anybody who's listening on radio, this is why I always tell you to come over and watch the YouTube show, because anybody watching on YouTube right now, all we're seeing on the screen is Lawhead frozen. And the funny thing is, I don't know, Brown, he may disconnect and reconnect, but he had some internet happening go down at his crib. And look at him in this video. Oh, this picture is hilarious.
You know what he looks like? He's going,
oh my God.
That's what he looks like he's doing.
I got to take a picture of this. Hold on. I got to take a picture of this. Oh my God. It's so funny. Oh my God. All right, wait. Okay. So now Lawhead's gone and now he'll jump back in. So what do you say, man?
What he's going to say is that didn't work either, by the way, because when they went to the zone, Denver scored 5 out of 6 in the zone and went on like an 11-0 run. There is no answer. There's nothing they can do. That's it. That's all. This thing is wrapped, bro. Yeah, I said this before it started because I watched them play throughout the playoffs. This is the only time that they've been mismatched at every position. Like, Jimmy Butler cannot overcome Jamal Murray. He was able to overcome Jason Tatum. He cannot overcome Nikola Jokic. He was able to overcome Jalen Brunson. He cannot overcome, at the first game, Michael Porter Jr. They were able to figure out how to overcome Giannis, even though he missed 2.5 games, so they didn't necessarily need to. So I don't know what they can do to fix the situation. There ain't no answer. There, like, people say, Spoelstra's a good coach. He can't coach height.
Right. Well, that's just it. It just looks like Denver's got some, like, even like you look at Bam Adebayo and the game he had last night, and he had a nice game. It's 26 points or whatever it was, but he's 6'9". You know, he looks small next to Jokic. All right, hold on. Lawhead's back in.
Yeah,
Lawhead's back in. Hey, Jay.
Problem. Yeah.
No, that's okay. It was really, really funny because you were in the middle of this great rant, you know, and you go like this, and you're getting very animated, you know, Jay, and you go like this. You go, and another thing, and you're like this. Look, you get frozen like this.
Just like that.
You get totally frozen,
like I'm flopping on a charge or something. Yeah.
And we, of course, I say to Brown, I go, "Oh my God, this is freaking hilarious," because people will see this on YouTube. And dude, I had to take a screenshot of it all.
I'll probably end up being like a GIF, or whatever they are.
All right, listen, we'll talk a lot more about what happened in Game 1. We'll get there. We'll talk about the Padres, what they did yesterday in Miami. We talked about it during the show yesterday. I was watching the replay as the whole thing was going on. Who's watching 10 a.m. baseball? Also, this weekend, Cubs in town. I want to talk about that situation. And also, I thought yesterday we started talking NFL because I said it was June 1st, and we had this whole conversation about Pro Football Focus, and they were listing the quarterbacks 1 through 32. Today, I saw something else that is getting my mind ready for NFL football, and I want to run it by you guys, so stick around for that. Hey, guys, as we get started, I want to say on a Friday, you guys have plans this weekend? Everybody got plans? Because if you don't, I'm throwing an idea by everybody. 7 Mile Casino. Obviously, we are in the 7 Mile Casino studios, but here's why 7 Mile Casino would be so good for you this weekend. So you guys know the food was great down there when we were down there about, a month ago when we did that comedy show?
Good. Really good.
Yes.
Food's really good, right?
Yeah, it really was.
Jay, you even went off your plant-based for the night.
Oh, heck yeah. Well,
Jay,
yeah. I mean, when I'm out of the house, I do that.
Jay, speaking of that Sky Deck from earlier, there's a plant-based juice bar something right next to it. Last night I went in, I had their like frozen yogurt. It's plant-based, but it's frozen yogurt. Fire.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I was talking about 7 Mile Casino. The food there is great because they've got Sammy's Restaurant and Bar, which is Sammy's Wood Fire Pizza right there in 7 Mile Casino. San Diego Magazine readers just said, or they voted, that best brunch in South County. So Saturday or Sunday, you're looking for a great brunch. 7 Mile Casino and Sammy's Restaurant and Bar. And then for the rest of you guys, hey, if you're thinking about, I'm going to go play poker with my pals, 7 minutes south of downtown San Diego, right on the beautiful Bay of Chula Vista, smoke-free environment. Again, I've mentioned how great the food is. So if you're going to go play at the place that's our partner. You know what I'm saying? Can you understand that? Can you feel me on that?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out is right. That wasn't really rhetorical. I was actually looking for some confirmation there. I got shout out and I got, oh, yeah. All right. All right. Hey, listen, guys, let's talk about what was going on. Padres yesterday, bats come to life. Finally, we'll get there. And the Cubs pulling in. Brown, you're more of a White Sox guy, aren't you?
Yes. Yes.
Southsider.
Unfortunately.
You planning on going to any of these Cubs games? Does Cubs mean anything to you?
No. I'm Padres. If from Chicago, I would root for the White Sox. But in this particular drawing, I'm 100% Cubs.
All right, wait, you're 100% Cubs? Hold on. Did he mean that? Right. Stick around.
Hi, welcome to OG's.
Touching down this football season at OG's has never looked better. You can now eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards at select OG's locations. You won't miss a live game when you're watching at OG's. We're going all out, all game, all season long.
From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards.
All right, great friends. Hey, we welcome you back inside the 7 Mile Casino studios, 7milecasino.com. As promised, the head coach of the San Diego State basketball team, I'm wasting no time at all. Coach Brian Dutcher returns to Kaplan and Crew. Coach, how are you today?
Top of the world. I'm throwing out the first pitch tonight, so I'm good.
That is so cool. Have you ever thrown out a first pitch?
No, no, I haven't. I haven't won enough to throw out a first pitch. I guess I finally won enough to get a throw out one.
And have you?
You better get that arm ready there.
Yeah. Have you practiced at all, Coach?
No, I remember when Matt Sawyer used to take Coach Fisher out and they throw some warm-ups, but I'm just going to lob it up there. I'm not trying to throw heat or anything.
You do know, though, that everybody's watching. Like, if it's a good one, we're all going to go, wow, great job, Coach. But if it's really bad, I mean, everybody's going to have this video. I mean, no pressure.
No, I saw Pete Kelsey bounce one in this week, so I already know what it is.
Oh, yeah, and you should have seen Browner here down at the Chula Vista Little League this past Saturday. Also couldn't get to the plate.
Maybe I'll just set one on like T-ball. I'll set one on a tee.
Coach, the obvious place to start is huge congratulations to you, your players, the program, San Diego State as an institution, all the players that came before this group that contributed to the growth of the program. Huge congratulations. How different is your life 10 days after the Final Four in the national championship game?
You know, Scott, I'm so used to working that we got back on Tuesday. I was in the office Wednesday morning, and we're recruiting. We're trying to build next year's team. So as much as I enjoyed it, I'm not a guy that ever over-celebrates anything, even though it's something to be celebrated. I've got my eyes on next year and trying to put a team together that can be really good again.
Have you had a chance to think at all about, like, standing there on the floor inside a giant football stadium, knowing that you were on the biggest stage in college basketball. And as an assistant, you may have been there before a long time ago, but have you had any chance to just sort of think about what happened in those couple of days in Houston?
I always say, like, I'm a guy that likes to almost sit back and watch everybody enjoy the experience, but I enjoyed it myself too. You know, I told my assistant coaches on that elevated floor, I said, I'll see you guys at halftime. Make some notes. So it's a different experience to be up there and coaching on that stage on the biggest platform, and truly a platform, and just taking the time to look out into the crowd and seeing all the great Aztec fan base there to enjoy it. First time experience for all of us, me as a head coach, San Diego State as a participant in the city of San Diego, and just watch everybody kind of celebrate that moment, but at the same time, trying to figure out how to win games.
Yeah, it was an amazing run. It really was. Coach, I'd love to hear what you were thinking when Butler hit the shot that moved San Diego State from the Final Four to the championship game. Could you just go back to what was going on prior to that? Because everybody talked about there's still a timeout. Will he take it? Jim Nantz made mention on national TV. He doesn't have his shooters on the floor. Could you just go back to that sequence and what you were doing?
Yeah, it was like the possession before. We were down 3 and brought it up the floor, and I took a timeout. And I wanted to set up a play to try to get a 3 out of a sideline out of bounds. And if we didn't have the 3, throw it to Jaden Ledee and let him go one-on-one because he just scored one-on-one. And then we scored that basket. I took another timeout, and I looked at the time difference on the clock, and I felt even if they shot the ball, we'd have enough time to get down the length of the floor. And I told him at that time, we are not taking a timeout. And I said, we don't have shooters on the floor. I have 3 bigs on the floor. So cause a miss, get the rebound, get it to Lamont, make sure they're not doubling back trying to intercept that pass. And then you 3 bigs run to the rim, because if he misses, we'll have 3 bigs in to tip it in. And then Micah Parrish, you find space in case he needs to kick for a 3. And so I kind of had a thought in my mind what I wanted to do. But obviously players make the plays in March. Lamont made a magnificent play. They cut him off. He kind of crossed over, came back, and shot a beautiful pull-up jump shot to make me look good as a coach and us look good as a team.
Coach, what made this team different from the other 2 teams that you got to the Sweet 16? Obviously, you played UConn. You played big teams in those tournaments as well. But what separated this team from advancing? Like when you beat Alabama, and I think a lot of people thought you could beat Alabama, but when you did it, and then you had this crazy game against FAU, what made this team different as opposed to the other ones you've had in the past?
Yeah, this is the greatest team in Aztec history because of how far they went and what they did. I'm not sure it's the best team. So there's a difference. I mean, that Kawhi Leonard team with Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, DJ Gay, that was a team capable of winning a national championship. The X-Thames team with Poe Lee and J.J. O'Brien, Josh Davis, Skylar Spencer, that was a really good team too. But sometimes it's just the path lays out. You win games. And I'm just thinking back, like the other 5 seed was St. Mary's. They played UConn in the second round. What if we're that 5 seed and we play UConn in the second round and get beat? And we're talking about, hey, great, Dutcher got his first tournament win. But it just laid out for us where the path wasn't easy, but we took advantage of the path we had.
Coach, you have had the governor of California tweet about you, the vice president tweet about you, and you've got you guys had the city on fire for the program. How has that changed anything that you're doing going forward, and has it opened the door for the recruiting process to become a little bit bigger and a little bit better?
This is the talk we had back when we had Kawhi Leonard, Malcolm Thomas, Billy White. We won at such a level, they said, well, boy, you're really going to be able to go out and get some players now. We have players that just went to the national championship game. So we'll continue to recruit how we do. Recruit guys with chips on their shoulders that have a lot of potential, that are about the right things. And I like the way we've recruited over the years. So we'll continue to do what we do. Maybe it put us in front of a different kid or two. But for the most part, we've got good enough players in this program to win in any conference and at any level.
Talking to Coach Brian Dutcher this afternoon. It's Kaplan and Crew, and Coach Dutcher is with us. We're still talking about this San Diego State run. And, Coach, I was telling the guys, we're not going to stop. You know, I want to keep talking to these kids. I want them to be known commodities in this town. We know their names, want to know their stories, want to know more about these guys. Because like you said, by virtue of what they accomplish, it's the greatest San Diego State basketball team ever. It doesn't necessarily mean it was the most talented or the best, but I want to keep going with these guys because they really did something special. And I just got to say that this Final Four run, it really entranced the whole city was into it. Like I've never seen anything like it before. And when Butler hit that shot, Coach, that is like one of the top 5 moments in the history of San Diego sports. Does everybody have a grasp on that quite yet?
No, and they asked me at the time how big Butler's shot was. I said, if we win the whole thing, they'll remember it nationally forever, but it'll never be forgotten in San Diego. So that shot will live in San Diego for as long as San Diego State is playing basketball and the city embraces college basketball. So it was an incredible moment. Nationally, it'll be remembered, but not like it would have if we won the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. One of the best things is there's a picture of Lamont Butler and he's letting go of the ball. And for us, just being a little selfish, our man Alex here is standing in the background with his arms raised before the ball has even gone through the net. It was awesome.
I knew it was going in, Coach. Never had a doubt in my mind. I don't know about you, but I was confident from the stands.
Well, I'm thinking, is there time left on the clock? What do I have to do? I mean, I put both arms up, but then I was like, what if they put 0.2 of a second on the clock? So I'm still in coach mode. And the same thing can happen against UConn. To go to the Final Four, we really didn't get to celebrate. It's like they're going to put time on the clock. I'm convinced of it. So we have no timeouts. If it's their ball, here's what we're going to do to keep Kalkbrenner from throwing to the rim and getting a lob to tip in to beat us. If it's our ball, we want to throw deep. So all we have to do is touch it. And then the refs come over and say, no more time. So it's like a anticlimactic celebration to go to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And same thing with Florida Atlantic. It's like, I'm convinced they're going to put time on the clock. They always do. And so when that moment happened, Dusty May was trying to shake my hand before the refs ruled it good. I said, Dusty, I'm not that guy. I want to make sure they count it before, we shake hands and we start celebrating.
Coach, I thought the most impactful thing throughout the tournament was I saw your team's true identity come to the surface. The amount of defense, the 40 minutes of defense from end to end that your team was able to play throughout each game, you could see it was frustrating these other teams you guys were playing because they were used to guys playing like that maybe a couple minutes a game, maybe a half. But when you guys were pressuring guys like that and defending like that the entire time, I think you guys wore a lot of people down. Were you able to get the guys to see that through film study? And did they pick up on it? Or was this just something that all year you guys were doing?
It's just our culture. Like when we do a shooting drill early in the year, like we want to make 120 in 2 minutes or whatever that is. And if we don't make it, a lot of coaches say, okay, on the line, down and back. And I'll say, okay, on the line, we're going to do some defensive slides. We're going to do shuffles. We're going to do this and that. Because I tell them there's games where as open as we are, the ball's not going to go in. How are we going to win those games? When we're wide open, it's a great shot. It doesn't go in. Those are the games we're going to win with our defense. So it's just a mindset. It's a culture that we're going to be defense first. And as open as we are, sometimes the ball does not go in. And we're one of a handful of teams that are going to win games when the ball doesn't go in.
See, going into this tournament, Coach, and you know this well, but the country learned about it. Going into the tournament, you were 0-3 in the NCAA tournament as a head coach at San Diego State. Now you're 5-4.
Going over 500. That's not very good.
Well, hey, it's better than being under 500. It's better than being 0-3. That all happened in one tournament. And what I thought was really interesting is how we have gotten the chance to see the development of the program. For a lot of America, people are like, wow, San Diego State. And then what they start to do is they say this, Brian Dutcher, one of the top college basketball coaches in the country. Like they start to talk about you differently. Are you a much better coach at 5-4 in the NCAA tournament than you were when you were an 0-3 record?
Well, hopefully I'll get paid like a better coach. But
Coach,
I've always been.
Yeah.
Richard, our sports information director, I asked Richard because I didn't know. I said, how many NCAA tournament games have I been on the bench? Not head coach, been on the bench. I think it was like 56 NCAA tournament games. So I just say now I'm 63. I know a lot more at 63 than I knew at 53, than I knew at 43, than I knew at 33. Even though at that time I thought I knew everything. Mm-hmm. So if you can survive in this business, those experiences pay off. And so I chose my path wisely. I knew I wanted to retire as a coach. Sometimes you think you're going to be the coach that takes a lesser school and resurrects it. And in 3 years, you're out of work and you can't find a job. So I thank Coach Fisher for keeping me along for that ride for so long. And, I was patient until I got the job I wanted, which was this one.
Yeah.
I want to ask a very open-ended question to you, Coach, and it maybe has to do with pay, maybe has to do with assistants, maybe has to do with conference. What is the future of this program now? Obviously the rumors of Pac-12, Big 12 realignment, assistant coaches could get poached when you make a national championship run. We all know which players are coming and which players are leaving. What is the future of this program?
We've been in the Mountain West my whole time here, and I always say we're a high major program in a non-Power 5 conference. I'm trying to paint us like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's in the WCC, but they're looked at as a high major program. I think the West Coast always believed that San Diego State plays high major basketball, but now the nation's kind of been made aware of that. So I think it's upped our branding in the nation. West Coast, it's always been good. So if we make a conference move, I'm not stressed over it. I know we're a good enough program to survive wherever we end up. And whether it's in the Mountain West, we'll continue to have a high major program in the Mountain West. If we're in the Pac-12 or Big 12, our intention is just to compete at the highest level in those conferences. So those all happen at a level beyond me. Whatever decisions are made by John David Wicker and President De La Torre, I'm in support of, and wherever we end up, whether it's staying here or moving on, we'll be ready for that challenge.
Coach, you guys have you spoke about this actually when the interview first began about getting back to the business of coaching. You were already recruiting again. With the transfer portal being such a vital process to San Diego State before it became a national thing, before guys started talking about all this talks about transfer portal, you guys were already locked in and recruiting that way, using transfers to build the program. Now that everybody is such a focal point of the transfer portal, has it changed the way that you guys operate within it?
It's all NIL. NIL is everything in the portal right now. And, some of these players are being offered $260,000. If you're a big center, you might get $1 million, like a Dickinson or a kid at Kentucky. And so there's a lot of money being thrown around in the portal. And so we have to navigate that. We're not throwing that money away. We're not paying like that.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Dutcher, congratulations to you, to your family, to the program, to the players, et cetera. Really amazing job. We really appreciate you always. And thanks for doing this with us today. And by the way, good luck with your first pitch tonight at the Padres game.
Well, the only way you'll see it is if I throw it in the dirt.
Kind of rooting for that, just like a little bit.
I know. I knew if anybody would be, it'd be you.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and congrats.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by OG Sports Brewhouse Pizza, where you can eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards.
Dominating the SoCal radio airwaves for over 20 years. Join Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner for Kaplan and Crew every Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. only on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk, and the Mightier1090.com.
Hi, welcome to OG's.
Touching down this football season at OG's has never looked better. You can now eat pizza, drink beer, and earn rewards at select OG's locations. You won't miss a live game when you're watching at OG's. We're going all out, all game, all season long.
Murray Lampert now brings architectural and interior design to a whole new level for your remodel, ADU, or whole house build.
We're truly a team at Murray Lampert Design, Build, Remodel, and we don't take that lightly.
Visit murraylampert.com.
All right, everybody, what's happening? Kaplan and Crew with Grande and the Brown Man. Grande's off at Sister's Wedding in Oxnard. Comedian Jason Lawhead is in. Browner's in the house, and we're getting ready for a weekend that if you're around town, Padres Cubs this weekend down at Petco Park. Padres bats explode yesterday, and they played in the early morning in Miami. And now coming home. And what I'm excited about, I'm going to be selfish here, is that now that these games are broadcast on Channel 4 and the Cox YurView network, I think what's going to happen is when people get into their normal routine of when the Padres play, they're going to see Padres games on cable TV on Channel 4. And then when the games are over, we're coming on right after. So for those of you that are watching us right now on Channel 4, and you just watch the Padres and you're thinking to yourself, I didn't even know you guys were on TV. Well, yeah, we are. How about that? Yeah, we are. All right.
Love it.
Hey, Browner, you had just said, I asked you if you're more of a White Sox guy, so not a Cubs guy, right? No Cubs.
No Cubs. No Cubs. No Cubs. Unfortunately, I am a White Sox fan. It has done me no favors. It has given me zero joy.
Zero joy.
Zero joy.
Didn't they won a World Series in 2005, was it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
They beat the Houston Astros, yeah.
That's right.
That's right. And there was a guy who played for the Padres back then who I'd gotten to know pretty well. His name was Jeff Blum.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think Jeff Blum was playing shortstop when Trevor Hoffman broke the all-time saves record. And Jeff Blum was the guy who made the play from short to first, as I best recall. And Jeff Blum later left the Padres and went to the White Sox. I think I'm getting this right. And I think played in that World Series against the Astros. And now I'm going to have to check all this out because it's 20 years ago. And I think he hit a big home run in that World Series. Does that sound familiar, Browner?
Jeff Blum, not really.
Aaron Rowland hit a huge home run in that series, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find
a couple of them, and then went on to San Francisco to hit a couple of big home runs.
I mostly remember guys like Paul Konerko and AJ Przinsky,
and Aaron Rowland had a huge World Series.
Ozzie Guillen was the manager.
Here it is. I just found it. You ready for this? Jeff Blum hits the go-ahead home run in the 14th inning of the 2005 World Series Game 3.
Right. Huh. Okay. Yeah, that was that long. Yeah, and then they went up 3-0 because did they sweep that series or they win in 5?
Here it is.
They swept that.
The 32-year-old. The 32-year-old was.
Didn't they?
He was dealt at the deadline to the White Sox from the Padres. The Padres moved them because they already had a third baseman named Joe Randa. White Sox used him as a backup infielder. He hit 1 home run in 31 games with the White Sox down the stretch. And until the 14th inning of the World Series, Blum had made his second and final appearance at postseason during a 5-5 tie, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he hit this home run. He hit this monster home run in the World Series for your boy, Ozzie Guillen, Browner.
That's what I just said. Ozzie Guillen was the manager. That's how I know he can get the job done here. And that team was a collection of dudes, man. Because they had Bobby Jenks coming as a closer, this big, huge, fat guy who was throwing flames at the time. Flamed out after that, but that team was great.
He was a one-hit wonder, wasn't he?
Oh man, it was 1 inning. That's all I got, and I only got it for a year. And and Jerry Reinsdorf, just like he does with all things Chicago, just destroyed it with his ego.
And so you are a South Side White Sox guy, and the Cubs are coming to town to take on the Padres. And when this happens, you said at the end of the last segment, you're all Cubs, but I think you meant to say you're all Padres. I think
100%. Yes, that was what they call I misspoke. I am 1,000% Padres in this meeting. There's no way in hell I would root for the current version of the Cubs because the Cubs don't even like their own owner. So I'm 100% behind the Padres.
All right. Anybody heading down there this weekend? Anybody got plans?
I'm gonna try to get to one of these. I really am.
You know,
Cleveland's coming to town in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to 2 of those 3.
Nice. I need to. I was supposed to go to LA tonight because our friends from the band the Foos Fighters are playing at the Whiskey A Go Go tonight, and I was gonna go. And I think I told you guys this yesterday. Yeah. Freaking show's at 11:30 tonight. Now, if you want to play middle-aged rock star, go ahead, Brent. But bro, 11:30 in Hollywood, I don't think I can make that tonight. Now tomorrow, guys, the original inner circle of the great friends, Dale the Budman, Gary from Ego Trip, Big J, PJ the Bling Bling, Fat Tony. I mean, all these dudes every year has like a get together at a Padres game. Tomorrow is that game. I have yet to commit to it only because I'm like afraid to ask my girlfriend if I can go. But otherwise, that's the one game I might get to tomorrow. Saturday. Early game. Anybody got the pitching matchups yet or no? I mean, I'm sure you do. I don't.
Tonight it's Waka and who's been pitching great. Waka's last 5 starts. In the month of May, Waka's ERA was 0.84 in 5 starts in the month of May. So
and he knows the Cubs because he pitched in the Central for a long time.
Yeah, and he's going up against Jameson Talion. Not very familiar with this guy. But Darvish goes on Saturday and Weathers goes on Sunday. Talion is 0-1 on the road with a 7.80 ERA, and he is 0-3 with over 8 ERA for the season. So
we all know that means nothing against
score some runs tonight.
Should. Hey, by the way, these are kind of a weird series too because it starts tonight, but it actually wraps up on Monday. So they play 4 games. And they've got that Monday game, and then they've got 2 at home against their natural rival, the Seattle Mariners. So a 4-game series that ends on Monday with the Cubs, and that gets started tonight. All right, so listen, I do want to get into a little bit more Padres stuff a little later on, but I saw earlier today, as we were talking NBA Finals, I saw earlier today that former Laker coach Frank Vogel was being hired by the Phoenix Suns. And I thought to myself, wow, like when you were Phil Jackson and you had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen dynasty, and then you had Shaq Kobe dynasty, and you got to coach some of the most legendary players of all time and lots of other personalities along the way. If you're Frank Vogel, you don't have a dynasty with the Lakers, hardly, but you did win a championship with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And now your next head coaching opportunity, the next one that you get, I think this is his 3rd time. Wasn't he a head coach in Orlando at one point?
He had a great run with the Indiana Pacers.
There you go. Excuse me.
Almost knocked off them great Heat teams a couple of times in the playoffs when he had Paul George and Roy Hibbert and George Hill. They had some really good teams. I mean, they took Miami to 7 one year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they probably should have won that series.
But 3rd time now, and I'm glad you brought that up because I mean I knew he was coaching some small market, but to have a Paul George and to be successful, to go have LeBron James, Anthony Davis win a championship. I don't care what people say about where it was, when it was, et cetera. But now your next head coaching job, the personalities that you're going to deal with, particularly with a Kevin Durant, to me, what I'm saying is, man, if you're Frank Vogel, what an opportunity. When your career is done and they talk about the best players of this era and they mention LeBron James and they mention Kevin Durant, you will have head coached both of those guys. I don't know if you guys love the hiring, hate the hiring. I'm not so sure I understand. Like if he's a real personality manager or if he's more of an X's and O's guy, and really, can he reach guys like Kevin Durant? I'm not so sure about that.
Can anybody?
Well,
that's the problem with Kevin Durant. That's why Kevin Durant and LeBron James aren't even in the same discussion, because Kevin Durant is Goldilocks. This bed isn't comfortable. This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. This bed's too da. He's probably, along with Harden, one of the most overrated superstars in the history of the game.
Stop yourself. What are you doing?
He's
overrated?
Superstar
he's
in the history of the game. Overrated superstar in the history of the game. What has he done besides going over to Golden State and make an Olympic team for 2 years? What has he done?
As a superstar,
what has he done? I mean, he's a great scorer. He's a phenomenal scorer. But what's he done other than go make an Olympic team for 2 years, win a couple of titles, and then go disappoint everywhere else? I don't like, this didn't work. I'll go over here. This didn't work.
Tell him, Jay.
I just,
tell him,
you know, you can say whatever, you can poke whatever holes you want into LeBron's legacy, but these guys aren't the same.
He got Oklahoma City to the NBA Finals. They had never been there before. That team was fairly young. He was the best player on that team. That was a strike
year. There was nobody in the West. That was one of the youngest teams. They got rolled. Come on, man. They got rolled. And
put it this way, Frank Vogel could not manage Russell Westbrook. And what you said about Kevin Durant, could anybody? I don't think anybody can manage Russell Westbrook. So I'm asking this question. Is Kevin Durant a professional basketball player enough to be coachable by someone who has legitimate credentials, as opposed to, is Kevin Durant such a diva that he needs to handpick his coach, and then when his coach isn't what he wanted his coach to be, he then gets him fired, and then after he gets him fired, he finally just up and leaves the organization anyway. I'm asking the question, Browner, because you're a KD fan. Can KD be coached by a Frank Vogel? Or maybe the question is, can he be coached by anybody? Is it a good hiring?
Where was he unable to be coached? This is the part about Kevin Durant that I just don't understand. So you think he wasn't?
OKC got Scotty Brooks fired in OKC. He went to Golden State. That was already in place. Steve Kerr was the boss there. He didn't handpick.
What the hell are you
He didn't say,
talking
"I want
about?
Steve Kerr too."
Wow.
He said, "I want Steve Nash." That didn't work out. Then Jacques Vaughn comes in. Couldn't get coached there. He got Scotty Brooks fired and then left. Got Scotty Brooks fired in OKC and then left OKC. Not saying that Scotty Brooks is some great coach, but what I'm saying is the only guy he's been coached by was the guy that was already there in place.
Is that wrong? Browner, you're giving the look. Browner's got the squint.
I know
on.
Browner and I disagree on this, and we always have.
Kevin Durant,
great scorer,
left Oklahoma City because Oklahoma City had peaked. Scotty Brooks couldn't get them over the top. So if you tell me,
he was up 3-1 on a team that had 73 wins. He was the best player on a team that was up 3-1 on a team with 73 wins. People don't remember. People forget that the year that LeBron came back from 3-1 down to Golden State, the round before that, OKC was up 3-1 on Golden State.
You hear that, Browner? You see the way Jason Law had just used his head when he was talking to you?
About
just got dizzy. Just got dizzy.
Again, this idea
Tell him, Jay,
that he's not coachable, is clearly false. Because everywhere he goes, he wins. It's not his fault.
Really?
James Harden got hurt. It's not his fault. Kyrie Irving got hurt, and he
How do you say that?
almost single-handedly beat Milwaukee.
But he didn't.
Who went on to win the championship.
But he didn't. So here's again. This is my perception of Durant.
Yeah, but the idea that he's not coachable.
Well, yeah, but all I'm saying, the reason is because when I look at a guy like Vogel, I wonder if a guy like Durant, when Vogel walks in the room, does Durant respect him? Because Russell Westbrook didn't. And Russell Westbrook doesn't have any rings. And Frank Vogel's like, yo, I won a ring with LeBron and AD just a couple of years ago. Why are you so disrespectful to me? Why will you not take any coaching? Why are you publicly saying things about me? I mean, I'm just asking you, is Frank Vogel a strong enough personality and a credentialized resume that he walks into a room of some star players like Kevin Durant, and does Kevin Durant take to Frank Vogel?
Kevin Durant played for Steve Nash. Steve Nash has never coached anybody before.
Who put him in that position?
He handpicked him.
Yes,
Who put him there?
Yes, Kevin Durant. To answer your question very simply, yes, Kevin Durant will have no problems playing for Frank Vogel. None.
I don't think so.
None.
If Frank Vogel was already there in place, winning with the Phoenix Suns, and he was the guy that took him to the finals a couple of years ago, and there was a piece missing, possibly. But now that Kevin Durant has already just got his way in, moved Monty Williams, the guy that got him, the 2-0 lead in the finals a few years ago, is fired out the door.
You think Kevin Durant got Monty Williams fired?
I'm not saying he did, but what I'm saying is Monty Williams is fired and out the door 40 games, 30 games, 20 games, however many games after Kevin Durant showed up.
They fired Monty Williams because he couldn't get along with DeAndre Ayton. That's why they fired Monty Williams. That ain't got nothing to do with Kevin Durant.
What I'm saying is here we go. It's the revolving door. I just don't think Frank Vogel coming in to this situation after being a fired coach from Los Angeles is going to have really any type of clout over what Kevin Durant thinks.
I agree. All right, so listen, hey, I got Browner in the house. Lawhead's in for Grande Alejandro today. I'm taking 1 minute to mention everybody, our friends at MedCline. The website is medcline.com/greatfriends. I read to you guys a message that I received from one of our longtime listeners, and he explained to me that he had gotten into a really bad mountain biking accident in Big Bear. And since then, he'd had all these injuries that didn't heal properly because he's like, I didn't go to the hospital, dumbass, whatever. So the guy can't sleep. because he's in this agonizing pain through like his chest, through his back, through his shoulder, can't sleep. He hears Browner go on the radio and go on YouTube and TV and everything else. He hears Browner say, well, Browner, explain the story as to why you have all this shoulder pain, why you couldn't sleep.
So when I was a child, I was in a car accident, and I had broken both of my collarbones, and I have had arthritis in my shoulders and just a high level of shoulder pain since I was like 16 years old. And I've never recovered from that. Even there was therapy, and I had all these things. And I played basketball through all this. I've, been a kid through all this. I've done all the travel, et cetera, XYZ. And I never got rid of that pain. It would never go away. And it was only getting worse as I got older, obviously because of what happens as you get older. And I just couldn't find a solution, so I just gave up. I just found ways to deal with the pain. I found different ways to sleep it I thought would help me. None of it did until I got the Medcline.
Yeah, how about that for an endorsement? How about that?
Sleeping with this has totally changed my life. It has allowed me to get back to my workouts. It has allowed me to, bench press. It's allowed me to do push-ups. I can lift my arms above my head without any pain. And I really couldn't do a lot of that beforehand. And so the fact that it's been able to do this for me, it's really, really been life-changing.
Yeah. So Browner tells his story. This guy hears it. This guy orders the system and sends me a message and goes, dude, deep sleep, vivid dreams, pain-free the next day. And it's almost hard to believe. I mean, it really is. It's almost hard to believe, but you hear these stories and then you go, I got to try this thing. Medcline.com/greatfriends, 20% off. A pop-up will happen on your screen. Make it real easy for you. They're a local company based right here in San Diego. A lot of their employees, they listen to the show. So shout out to you guys and girls, and appreciate everything you guys do. And check them out. There you go. Medcline.com/greatfriends. There you go. Hey, so all this NBA talk is because last night was NBA Finals Game 1. And I'll tell you guys, I don't think Miami's going to have any solution. We'll go Padres here in a second, but just looking back last night, I've been watching, highlights over and over again from last night. And I told you I watched the game on my phone because I couldn't really get away from it. I just don't think Miami's going to have any solution. I'm not saying they can't win a game, but if they get swept, I'm not going to be surprised in the slightest bit.
No, I don't think anybody will be. But I think that there's some things that they can do. I think early, if you look at it, as bad as it seemed, I mean, they really shot themselves out of the game early with Strus, and nobody made a shot. I mean, Butler played probably the worst game he's played in the playoffs, as well as Strus, as well as Martin. Yeah, they ended up getting themselves down double digits for most of the game through the middle of the game, and then they got through some punches. But in the fourth quarter, they at least adjusted. They went to the zone too late, and maybe they went to Highsmith too late. And I think maybe they need Zeller on the floor a little bit more. In times they will play man-to-man just to get some body and some height and some stuff around the rim. And they've got to go attack the rim. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, as good as Bam played last night, if there's one minuscule thing that Jokic doesn't do well, it's go and protect that rim at the rim. And so you got to try to force him to do that. Bam, yeah, he's got the nice little mid-range. He's got the nice little jump hook. He slips off on some stuff to get back door, to get some easy dunks. But he's got to put the ball on the floor and take it to Jokic at the rim. And if things don't work out, they don't work out. But you've got to try to get Jokic into a couple of fouls. You got to try to have him challenge the stuff at the basket. You got to try to go zone more so guys aren't just, free off of double teams. And Gordon got all of his points early when they were in the man-to-man. And they were trying to double Jokic and double Murray everywhere. I say start Highsmith, throw him on Murray. You go Bam on Jokic, and you go to zone a lot earlier and more often and try to throw him off track, because I thought Miami's speed would be a little bit of the difference, especially in the man-to-man, starting to create some turnovers, get out in the open floor, make Denver chase them.
The Nuggets are faster than them.
They're just as fast. Mm-hmm. And with the size, it's But that's why I think the zone slows him down and attacking the rim.
This sounds a lot like we're going to put Rui Hachimura on Jokic, and that's going to make a difference.
No,
That's
I think Bam is obviously a much better player, way more active than any. Like I said yesterday, he's more active than AD ever is.
We got to hit this break, though. We got to hit this break. You guys are in some deep analysis, and I'm like hypnotized by it all. I don't even know if what Jason said is right, but damn, it sounded good. Stick around. We're in the 7 Mile Casino studios, 7milecasino.com, and let's get to some Padres Cubs look ahead this weekend.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM ESPN Radio, SoCal Sports Talk.